Save My Soul for the documentary?
I am. Yeah.
So where the original idea came from then?
You know, we never kind of intended to make Save My Soul or do a documentary about this topic, but we actually got an email about 4 years ago from a pastor who said, hey, we want you to come out and make a short video about sex trafficking in Korea. And when we first got that, I was kind of shocked because I never heard about this issue, especially in Korea. But they said, hey, we'll fly you out and then we want you to learn more. So we did, and what I learned astounded me. The fact that there was so much prostitution and sex trafficking happening and that it was so ingrained with the culture. I think it was really heartbreaking, and we knew at that point that we wanted to do something bigger, so we decided to make a feature-length documentary.
Why was it surprising to you? I mean, prostitution is really relevant like anywhere in the world.
Yeah, and that's something that we're definitely familiar with now. I think at the time, I think I was pretty naive. As a Korean American, a lot of my family lives in Korea, so every time I went to Korea, it was all about like Korean barbecue and K-pop and Lotte World, which is like the Disneyland of Korea. And whenever I had thought about sex trafficking and prostitution, honestly, I would think of countries like Thailand, or I would think about Brazil, and I would think about movies like Taken, where people are like taken off the street. I was like, that doesn't happen in Korea. Korea's like this great country, or in the US for that matter. Now I understand and realize like this is an issue that is really pervasive, and it's not only happening in Korea, even though the focus of our film is in Korea, but it is happening all around the world, unfortunately.
So this is a very touchy subject.
Yes.
How did you manage to get the subjects or the people to even talk to you at all?
So that was a pretty difficult process because, as in any country, the stigma associated with prostitution is so strong. And if anyone were to find out that a girl or a woman was a prostitute, or even formerly a prostitute, their life could be ruined, really. So we started to ask as many people as we could about if they knew anyone, or we would start to actually visit these areas and try to talk to people. And it was pretty discouraging because most people said, no, of course we would never even talk to you off the record. Until we met these two girls, Crystal and Esther, who were young, and they were so... I think they just had this incredible, infectious joy for life, and it was very different than what I expected, because I thought we would find these like victims who were like broken and really... and I think that there was some of that, but we spent the first week or so just trying to get to know them and not even filming anything and just trying to develop a relationship. And over time, I think as they begin to trust us, you can see in the film they start to open up quite a bit.
Is the Korean culture very against all of this? Very conservative, or?
Korean culture is very conservative. It's very similar to any Asian culture where it's very much about saving face and about looking proper on the outside. And that's really interesting and ironic because while on the outside it looks very prim and proper, on the inside the culture is very pervasive that men would go and pay for sex. And the majority of men have done so. And I think that's the difficulty in tackling this issue, because it's not like the US, where I think there's a lot of people who will say, you know what, of course, it's okay to pay for sex. Or like, of course I work as a prostitute, it's my choice. In Korea, there's very few voices like that. It's more of, no, that's so bad. Yet everyone's like, yeah, we'll do it later. We'll quietly do it.
So is this like a new dark side you discovered, or just people just like pretending like it's never there?
I think it is a lot of just pretending. It's a hidden secret, really. And this is one of many hidden secrets, I think, of the Asian culture and of Korea in particular. Korea went through this huge development over the last 40 years from being one of the poorest countries. It's now one of the wealthiest. And we feel like there was like a really poor foundation that was set, and now this huge buildings was built on it. Now we're starting to see some of the cracks with prostitution and sex trafficking, but also with suicide, with plastic surgery, and with alcoholism and domestic violence. These are all symptoms, I think, of a lot of hurt that exists within that country.
So what have some of the stuff that you have uncovered about this underground society? I mean, it's not basically out in plain sight.
It's funny because in some ways it is. You can very easily walk into a red light district, even though in Korea prostitution is illegal. you'll see a red light district or you'll see a brothel, and you'll very clearly know that some of these are brothels. That being said, there's also the karaoke rooms and the salons that are much more hidden, obviously. But I think it's just a very interesting dynamic of what is happening right now. And the old-fashioned approach is, hey, you know what? Everyone knows, but no one talks about it. But now we're starting to see some young people who are saying, you know what, this is not right. We want to make a change.
For a moment there, I thought you almost described Bangkok itself with the karaoke rooms and bars.
Yeah, it's very similar, because we've done, part of our research, we said, you know what, let's see what it's like in other countries. So we actually went to Bangkok, and we went to a bunch of these red light districts as well. And it's pretty interesting. I mean, and it's a really interesting question of, is it better for it to be out in public, actually? Because in Bangkok, it is so well known.
Yeah.
In Korea, it's not as well known, but which one is better? I'm not really sure.
No.
Yeah. Who's to say?
So how did you want to handle the narration for the narrative of the story for Save My Soul?
Yeah, that's something we struggle with quite a bit with this film. Because ultimately we knew that we wanted to make a film that was both very eye-opening and interesting, but also entertaining in some way, where it had some narrative arc. And that is why if you watch the film, you'll see that it starts with our story actually as filmmakers, which is pretty uncommon, and then very quickly transitions to the story of these girls. And that was ultimately the structure we settled on, because we felt like this is a good entry point, and we didn't want it to just be one of those documentaries that's just very academic. Mm-hmm. We wanted to feel like something was progressing, and you kind of see over time how their lives change actually for the girls. So,
well, how long was this project that you filmed in?
We started our first filming in 2014, and we finished in the summer of 2016, so it was about 2 years, and we went on several different trips. Yeah.
2 years is quite a long time. A lot of things could change.
A lot of things have changed, yeah. So, and that's been one of the really interesting parts about the film, but also one of the difficult parts is we actually, seeing them go through a lot of struggle, even post-film, and actually, it's been really, really eye-opening, just that things aren't always black and white, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of struggle in this space.
Have you kept up with the subjects?
We have, yeah. Actually, one of the updates that we give, and we'll give tonight or tomorrow night, is that actually one of the subjects passed away.
Oh no.
And that was really heartbreaking because she committed suicide actually, and the reasons, and that was heartbreaking, and that was one of the reasons why it took us so long to make this film, because we had finished the film and we were getting ready to release, and after that happened, we said, wait, everything we knew about this issue seemed to change. We ended with such an uplifting story of hope. Yeah, how is it that now can we even say that? We need to take that out. And we stepped away from the film for several months, and ultimately we realized, you know what, we want to really celebrate Crystal's life. And I think that she would probably say, you know what, I want people to take hope from my story, even though I think it proved to be really difficult for her. And we hope that this film celebrates her in a lot of ways, and now more than ever we feel like on a mission to make sure that people see this film and make sure that not one more girl like Crystal or Esther enter this industry.
Has this film been shown in Korea, and how was the reception?
It has been shown in Korea. We've actually not been at any of the screenings yet, unfortunately, but the Pastor Eddie, he's been screening it, and for the people that he's been showing it to, they've been really supportive. A lot of activist groups or church organizations are very supportive. We do expect to see a bit of a backlash with the film as well, because just, traditionally so many people will feel like this is an attack on Korea or on their culture, and we certainly don't hope that people don't perceive it that way. The reason is that we know that this is something that exists everywhere, right? And that for me, I'm proud to be Korean, and I also know that if I were to be born and raised in Korea, that I would behave exactly the same way and not think anything of it. So it's more of, what does it look like for us to start a dialogue and to kind of reconsider what the world should look like. Mm-hmm.
How do you feel that there might be some backlash against this film or you?
Why do we feel that?
How do you feel that there might be? It's kind of disappointing.
It's unfortunate. Yeah, it's really disappointing because you think about all the energy of people saying, "Why would you make this film?" and people getting upset at us. And if only there was like an ounce of that energy put towards actually fighting for these women, I think we would see a tremendous amount of change. And people seem so much more focused on protecting themselves and their saving face for the country than the lives of literally millions of girls who are living injustice every day. And I think that is one of the most heartbreaking things for me.
Is there a call to action in this documentary that you're promoting?
You know, one of the things I've been saying is that we really encourage people to find their own way to help. Whether you're a filmmaker or an activist or a lawyer or a student, there's so many different ways that we can use our own skills and our abilities, whether in Korea or just here at home. Because this is an issue that's in LA and in Santa Ana and Oakland and everywhere. One of the big asks that we've been making is actually to please, when the film goes onto iTunes on Sunday, to buy the film. And the reason is, even if you've watched it, please buy it and buy it twice, because we want to drive as many sales as possible, because a lot of the folks, the higher ups at the Hulus and the Netflix and the Amazons aren't sure if there's a demand for this film. They're kind of seeing this and they're saying, I'm not sure if people would watch this film. And we want to show them, there are hundreds, if not thousands of people who are demanding this film. And we want to show that in numbers. So that's one of the big requests that we have. Go visit Save My Seoul, Soul with the SEOUL, SaveMySeoul.com, and buy the film, learn more, and figure out what your part is in this huge issue and this huge challenge.
Now, why is it so important to play it? You're showcasing it here at the Asian Pacific Film Festival.
This is such an honor for us to show it here. I think because I've lived in LA for about 4 or 5 years now, and I've seen so many of what I would call my mentors and my role models show their films here. Everyone from like K-Town Cowboys to Justin Lin, and this is such a cool place to celebrate the film with a community of people who have lived it and been part of our sets before. And I'm just really proud to be able to be a part of a great group of independent filmmakers.
Awesome, and let me wrap it up with one more message.
Sure.
Every documentary, everybody who makes a documentary wants a primary message to go out to the audience. What do you want the audience for sure to catch from after watching your film?
I think at the end of the day, what I want people to know is, we hear about all these statistics, like 52 million people are victims of trafficking today. Or we hear 1.3 million girls in Korea are victims of sex trafficking. And those numbers are astounding and they're really alarming. But it's very easy to say, oh wow, that's a lot of people, and kind of go on with our day. What I want people to see is in our film is that there are individuals like Crystal and Esther who are being affected. And I think once we start to put a name and a face to these numbers, that's when actual change is going to happen. And I want people to remember ultimately that people are meant to be loved and not to be used. And I think if you can just remember that, each and every one of us every day remember that, I think the world would be such a better place for it.
Terrific. Hey, great answer.
Yeah, thank you.
And be sure to keep your browsers tuned to lrmonline.com for the latest news, buchinche, and analysis.